Hey everyone. Hollywood looks glamorous on the surface, but behind the smiles, some stories are too dark to ignore. Legends make us laugh, inspire us, and feel immortal until one moment shatters everything. This is not just another tragic headline. This is a story of friendship, unspoken fear, and warnings that came too late. For the first time, Billy Crystal breaks his silence about the shocking death of his closest friend, Rob Reiner. What he reveals isn't about fame or films, it's about guilt, love, and a truth that still haunts him. Stay with us because this story will change how you see Hollywood forever. 2 days after Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle Singer Reiner were found murdered inside their home in Brentwood, Los Angeles, Hollywood stood still. Tributes flooded social media, friends gathered in disbelief. But among all the voices mourning the loss, one sentence cut deeper than any other. Billy Crystal, Rob's closest friend for nearly 50 years, quietly said, "He didn't listen to my warning." That sentence was not spoken for attention. It was spoken from guilt, from grief, and from the knowledge that what happened was not sudden, but the end of a long, silent buildup. What Billy later revealed would shift how many people viewed the tragedy, transforming it from an unexplainable shock into something far more unsettling. According to Billy, the warning came exactly 14 days before the murders. It was a Sunday afternoon when Rob Reiner called him directly and asked him to come over. Rob made one thing clear on the phone. This was not about work. This was not about movies. This was personal. When Billy arrived at Rob's house on South Chadbourne Avenue, something felt wrong immediately. Rob did not look like the man Billy had known for decades. His clothes were wrinkled, his hair uncombed, his movements slower than usual. He didn't turn on music, he didn't make jokes. He poured a glass of water and never touched it. Instead, his eyes kept drifting toward the hallway, as if he were listening for something. After a long silence, Rob finally spoke. His voice was lower, rougher. He admitted that things at home were falling apart and that he was exhausted in a way he had never felt before. Then he began talking about his son, Nick Reiner. Rob explained that Nick had suffered another serious relapse earlier that month. His behavior had changed dramatically. He was irritable, unpredictable, and emotionally volatile. Small comments triggered explosive reactions. There were nights when Michelle Singer Reiner left the bedroom just to avoid confrontation. The house, once full of warmth, had become tense and unpredictable. Rob described a specific argument that took place in the kitchen shortly before Thanksgiving. It was about money and treatment. The details were painful enough that Rob didn't repeat the words, but he admitted something that terrified him. He said he could no longer predict how his own son would react during moments of stress. As Rob spoke, Billy noticed his hands tightly interlaced, his eyes fixed on the floor. This was not anger. This was exhaustion, the kind that comes from loving someone you can no longer control. Rob said he believed keeping Nick close was the only way to help him. Pushing him away, in Rob's mind, might destroy him completely. Then Rob said the sentence Billy would never forget. He said that if he pushed his son away, he feared he would be the one responsible for Nick completely falling apart. He spoke slowly, almost as if he were trying to convince himself. That was the moment Billy decided he could not stay silent. He told Rob directly that love without boundaries could be dangerous, that unpredictable behavior inside the home should never be ignored, even when it comes from family. Billy warned him that he was risking not only his own safety, but Michelle's as well. Rob listened, his eyes filled with tears. He admitted that he understood the concern, but said he could not see his own son as a threat. Nick had been through dark times before, and Rob believed one wrong move could push everything beyond control. He sighed deeply, leaning back, unsure if he was making the right choice. The conversation ended quietly. Rob stood by the window, looking out at the backyard where the family once gathered for celebrations and laughter. He promised Billy he would rethink everything after Thanksgiving. Billy left the house as evening fell over Brentwood, carrying a sense of dread he could not explain.
14 days later, Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner were found dead.
What disturbed Billy most was not just the violence itself, but how long it took for anyone to realize something was wrong. Rob and Michelle lived structured lives. Their home was rarely silent. People came and went. Calls were answered. Yet this time, hours passed with no response. When someone finally arrived and knocked repeatedly, there was no answer. Inside, the scene revealed something deeply unsettling. Rob and Michelle were found in different locations within the house. They were not together. To Billy, this detail mattered. Rob had once told him that tension in the house didn't erupt in a single moment. It moved, escalated, spread from room to room. Even more disturbing was the condition of the house itself. There were no signs of forced entry, no evidence of an outside intruder. Furniture was mostly undisturbed. Everything looked familiar, almost normal. To Billy, that meant one thing. Whatever happened unfolded in an intimate, everyday setting. Then came the detail that froze him completely. Nick Reiner was not in the house when the bodies were discovered. Billy did not accuse anyone publicly. He did not jump to conclusions, but privately his mind returned to that Sunday afternoon conversation. Rob had admitted he could no longer predict his son's reactions, and now Nick was gone. Nick's struggles were not a secret. Born in 1993, he had battled addiction for years. There were repeated treatment attempts, relapses, and long periods where he disappeared from family life entirely. Rob had confided many times that Nick was the child he worried about the most. Whispers soon began circulating about the night before the tragedy. At a Christmas gathering hosted by Conan O'Brien, Nick reportedly argued intensely with his father. Several people noticed that Nick appeared unstable and erratic, more so than usual. When Billy heard this, his chest tightened. It matched everything Rob had warned him about. On December 14, 2025, the tragedy became public. Later that same evening, Nick was detained near the University of Southern California, more than 20 kilometers away from the Brentwood home. That distance haunted Billy. It fit perfectly with Rob's description of Nick fleeing emotionally after moments of crisis. Soon after, the charges were announced. 2 counts of first-degree murder, aggravating circumstances, no bail. Seeing images of Nick in court, restrained and silent, shattered Billy completely. Because Nick was the person Rob had tried to save at all costs. Even Rob's film, Being Charlie, was more than a project. It was an attempt to reach his son, to guide him towards stability. Rob believed creativity could be a lifeline. Watching everything collapse felt like witnessing the destruction of Rob's deepest hope. Billy withdrew from public life. He stopped attending dinners and events. He declined interviews. He drove once to Brentwood, sat quietly, and returned home without speaking to anyone. He replayed his final conversation with Rob endlessly. The tired eyes, the warning, and the moment he chose to leave. "I thought I had more time," Billy admitted privately. "I was wrong." The guilt consumed him. He blamed himself for not staying longer, not pushing harder, not forcing action. Sleepless nights followed, silent mornings, long hours staring at dark windows. When Billy finally spoke publicly, it was through a joint statement alongside his wife Janice Crystal and Rob's closest friends, including Albert Brooks, Martin Short, Larry David, and Mark Shaman. The statement was not just a tribute, it was a farewell written through pain. They remembered how Billy and Rob met in the 1970s on All in the Family, how humor connected them, how trust turned them into lifelong partners. When Harry Met Sally was not just a film, it was a symbol of a friendship built on faith, respect, and creative freedom. Rob was more than a director. He was a collaborator, a listener, a man who believed storytelling was a shared experience. And Michelle Singer-Reiner stood beside him as an equal force in life and purpose. That is why the loss felt unbearable. The Brentwood house was not just a crime scene, it was the place where decades of memories lived. Dinners, conversations, laughter, dreams. In the end, Billy did not speak to solve the mystery. He spoke to honor the truth, that tragedies rarely come without warnings, that love can blind even the wisest people, and that sometimes knowing the danger still isn't enough to stop what's coming. So now the question remains, could this tragedy have been prevented, or was fate already sealed long before that final night? Share your thoughts in the comments, like this video, share it with others, and subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories. Thanks for watching.